Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. Today's block is called the Jelly Roll Double V. It's actually just called the Double V, but I added the Jelly Roll to tell you that this is perfect for a Jelly Roll quilt. And if you have scraps, it's even better. Here is the block. It's a 10-inch finished block. And here is a quilt. These are set 6 by 8. And it's a 60-inch by 80-inch finished quilt. I've seen this block on Pinterest, and it has several different names, and I'm calling it Double V because as part of Electric Quilt, I have Barbara Brackman's library of quilt blocks, and she calls this a Double V, so I'm calling it a Double V. Here are the patches. The first patch A is a 2-inch finished square. You cut 2.5-inch squares. You'll have 4 patches of the background and 5 patches of the accent fabric. And these numbers I put here, 11 inches and 13 inches. If you multiply 4 patches times 2.5, it's about 10 inches, and I added an extra inch. So that tells you if you have a Jelly Roll strip, you only need 11 inches out of it for this patch for the background. And the same thing with the 5 patches for the accent fabric. You'll only need 13 inches for patch A. Then patch B is a 2-inch by 4-inch finished rectangle. We'll cut 4.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And if you're using Jelly Rolls, you'll just cut off 4.5 inches. So you'll need 4 patches of the background, which is about 19 inches, and 4 patches of the accent fabric, which is about 19 inches. If you look here, and you have 13 inches for patch A and 19 for patch B, that's 32 inches total for your accent fabric strip, and you'll have about 10 inches left over. And for the background fabric, 11 inches and 19 inches is 30 inches. So you'll have about 12 inches left over, and that can be for other scrap quilts. At the bottom, you have a chart for 4 different quilt sizes, how many blocks you need, how many accent strips, and how many background strips you need of Jelly Rolls strips, or any 2.5-inch times width of fabric strips. Here are the fabrics I've chosen for the demo block. This is a piece of strip I had left over from another project. It's bigger than a Jelly Roll, but it's 2.5 inches. And this is cut off just from a width of fabric. I've got my A patches and B patches cut. You can take your strip, you can leave them folded and cut 2 at a time. It makes it go faster. But this is what's left over from the background strip when I cut for this block. And I used my smaller ruler because you don't need a bigger ruler if you're cutting off these strips. This is 6.5-inch ruler, so it has the 2.5-inch and the 4.5-inch, and it's much easier to handle when you're cutting off these strips. For step 1, we're going to use 4 accent and 4 background A patches. And we'll make 4 of these 2-patch units. Stitch them together like this and press the seams open. And here's what it looks like. For step 2, we're going to sew 1 accent B fabric to the A unit we just made in step 1. Now, if you look at how the diagram is laid out, you would have to place these A patches reversed for half of them with the B patch. But you don't really have to, because what you want is a small patch here, and you want this little V shape here. You get it whether the B is this way or this way. And I'll show you what I mean. Once you have this, you're going to take one of your B patches and stitch it like this. And it doesn't matter if it's stitched like this or if it's stitched like this. They're in different positions, but you get the same effect. So if you're looking at your patches, they won't necessarily line up with your diagram. I didn't want to confuse you later on, but just do it this way and it'll all work out. So you will have 4 of these once you're finished. Now we have these 4 corner units, I'll call them, done. We're going to stitch a B patch between 2 of them. We'll lay them out like this. You want your background fabric facing out in the corners. So this would be like this, and you stitch that there. So you'll make 2 of them. And after you do that, step 4 is to make 1 of these. You take the remaining 3 patches that are left and stitch the center unit. Press all the seams open. Now we have our 2, the top and bottom units, and then the center unit. These like this. You'll want to make sure that the corners are your background fabric. Now we'll just sew these together and the block will be finished. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.